Okay, well, here's a question for you. What's in your wallet? Money has evolved over the centuries from shells to gold to paper to plastic, and these days it's gone digital. Now, you've probably heard of Bitcoin before, an alternative cryptocurrency that exists entirely on the internet. Bitcoin's value has skyrocketed over the past year. It is well beyond the general public's affordability at this point. But for those of you looking to get into the newest financial revolution known as the digital economy, worry not. Litecoin has been called the silver to Bitcoin's gold. Former Google employee and MIT graduate Charlie Lee invented the currency to correct some of Bitcoin's flaws. It's grown over 400% in the past week, and it is still more affordable and abundant than Bitcoin. Now, despite cryptocurrencies' growing popularity in the public, no nation has adopted this type of currency to date. So, are these currencies just a flash in the pan, or is this the economic future of the world? I had a chance to sit down with Yanis Varoufakis. He's the author of the Global Minotaur, who started off by explaining the differences between Bitcoin and Litecoin.
It's a bit like shale gas in relation to oil. It's the poorer, cheaper brother. The number one feature of Litecoin is that its price has not skyrocketed yet. So if you are a late entrant into the Bitcoin community, you have to fork out $1,000 for one Bitcoin, whereas Litecoin is at the very early stage of its bubble, let's say. So, it is cheaper to get in and hopefully to be one of the early entrants that become the aristocracy of this new cryptocurrency.
Now, are Litecoin and Bitcoin in competition with one another?
Yes, indeed they are, but this is absolutely inevitable, isn't it? Bitcoin started from nothing, and those who entered early are now sitting on nominal assets that are worth a great deal in terms of fiat money, at least. And it was quite natural that once the price of Bitcoins exceeds a certain level, there will be competitors. There will be other communities that evolve, that emerge, and they try to achieve the same kind of bubble stages and benefit from it.
And I'm glad you brought up this kind of conversation about the amount of money that Bitcoin costs right now. I want to take a look at how the markets have been reacting to Bitcoin. Now, this past January, Bitcoin was trading at about $13. By the beginning of this November, it was worth $200. And then by Thanksgiving, it was almost $1,200 before dropping back down again. Now, Bitcoin is so popular at the moment that it briefly overtook gold in value. But gold throughout the years has remained stable and it has remained dependable. Meanwhile, something like tulips, for instance, shot up in the market and then really dropped. So my question to you is, what do you think, being an economist, is more likely to be the outcome of Bitcoin? Are we going to see the gold scenario, or are we going to see the tulip scenario?
Look, Bitcoin is marketed as a currency, not as a flower like tulips. Supposedly, its utility has to do with the fact that it enables transactions to take place across borders costlessly. It is supposedly a currency that is the libertarians' wet dream, in the sense that it's not controlled by a central bank or a government. However, what percentage of Bitcoins in circulation are utilized in order to purchase goods and services? This is a rhetorical question. The answer is a minuscule amount, which means that as a means of exchange, Bitcoin has very little use. Therefore, the conclusion from this train of thought is that it is far more like a tulip than it is like a gold coin.
So is it possible to see a Bitcoin bubble kind of erupting in the near future, given those charts that we just showed, showing this shot up in the stock market?
The only way that Bitcoin late entrants are not going to lose their shirt is if Bitcoin somehow, magically, becomes a genuine currency. That is, if the goods and services that one can purchase using it suddenly expands massively, and people start using it a lot more as currency, then it would be possible to see Bitcoin value be maintained sustainably. But I see no evidence of that. So my simple message, well, let me simply tell you what I would do if I had a stash of Bitcoins, which I don't. I would sell them.
That's very interesting that you would sell them, and it's a very telling kind of sign. Now, one of the major differences between Litecoin and Bitcoin are the fixed points that the two companies have. Litecoin's fixed point is around 84 million coins. Bitcoin's fixed point is around 21 million coins. So what company has the better model, in your opinion, due to that affordability?
I don't think that is the main difference, because it really doesn't matter how many Bitcoins or Litecoins are mintable. What matters is that there is a fixed supply. What matters is that in both these cryptocurrencies, the ultimate limit is given, it's fixed, and it's commonly known, and the rate at which these coins are minted is more or less predictable. That's what creates scarcity, and therefore allows these communities to develop in a way that resembles, the gold market. The problem with this is that with any currency which is based on a fixed supply, whether it's gold, Bitcoins, or Litecoins, is that effectively, if it succeeds in acquiring wide use across the world as a genuine means of exchange, by definition, this currency is going to be deflationary. Because the quantity is fixed, doesn't matter whether it's 20 million or 80 million, as long as it is fixed, and the rate of increase in the money supply is always going to be lower at some point than the rate of increase in the production of goods and services, then the number of these units of currency per unit of goods or service is going to be shrinking, and that will mean that there is a tendency for an economy that uses these currencies towards deflation. And the second problem is, of course, a social justice issue. Like we've seen in Bitcoin, if you entered Bitcoin, the Bitcoin market or community a year or 2 years ago, then you minted Bitcoins very, very cheaply that now are worth an arm and a leg. So there is an aristocracy that is built in, and a fundamental division between the early adopters and the late entrants.
Very interesting. Thank you for breaking this down. We're going to see how we're going to have to see, obviously, how nations respond to this. No nation has currently backed up a cryptocurrency as an alternative to fiat money, but it might happen in the future. Who knows? Yanis Varoufakis is the author of the Global Minotaur.